And we're live. Oh, and there goes Lucy.
And there
Johnny will
goes
be here
Lucy.
shortly. He had to reboot his computer.
Hey, Miss Becca.
Hi. Hello.
Where's Miss Braxy, our petty dog?
Oh God, she has been acting a mess lately. Like just talking about everything, just rah, 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 like for no reason. Like so, she was up here screaming at me for dinner. So then she went down and start like at 4:30. It's like, girl, it's not time to eat yet. So she wouldn't stop. So finally, I
So
had to go down there and get Matt to feed her. So
so she learned some bad habits from the bad guests that you
no,
had.
she's always been very vocal, like but I don't know if it's her adolescent phase or what, but she's just been just talking a whole lot of nonsense that I don't understand. So,
I was telling Lori, I got eaten alive last night by mosquitoes. I was trying to mow my yard quick before they were doing fireworks in my little village. Got eaten like as soon as I ran the mower over the grass, all these mosquitoes came up and just ate
oh.
me alive. So I'm
Did the
scratching
cats
a lot.
did the cats do okay with the fireworks?
They don't get near the windows. They weren't hiding, but they like normally they're looking out the windows and stuff, and especially if I'm standing at the window looking out. They were not near the windows and stuff, but it doesn't freak them out like dogs. I had one cat years ago that used to panic when he would hear thunder.
Mm. No, Braxy did perfectly well, and they were going off all over the neighborhood, and she was up here sleeping on the bed with me, and she didn't care. She was
Wow.
like, whatever, So I was lucky because I've seen dogs, and other animals that just get spooked, and it's just so sad.
And
So
hurts their ears. Yeah,
mhm.
I was hoping they would watch them because we had all those big sunburst ones. They look like cat toys in the sky. I thought I want to see them watching fireworks, but they wouldn't come up to the window. They were kind of like, yeah, okay.
Cat
And
toys in the sky.
yeah, cat toys in the sky. Like, how'd you get up there? No, Braxy's been downstairs watching baseball all day, so
And I've been reading in the last week for so many cat lovers. It's been a lot of fun. I'm like, oh, hang on. Whenever I read for cat lovers, Roro and Bella come up on the table more, and even Lucy. It's like they pick up that the energy of the person I'm reading for is a cat lover, so they hang around. I'm like, hang on, I got to move them out of the way. So, Lori, have you got any announcements?
Uh, we're doing our our second members class tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I've had a real busy day today. Our second members class, and it's going to be on psychic development and some crystals that can help too. And so that starts at 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you'd like to have a reading with me, you can. I have a couple of places left this next coming week, on Thursday or Friday, I think. And you can go straight to my website, thewayofpositivechange.com, and you can pick the time that works for you. That's it.
I highly recommend Lori for readings. I've had personal friends that have gotten readings with her.
I've gotten a reading with Lori. It was cool.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Lori and I were live on Thursday. If you missed it, you can go back on July 4th. We did a lot of great questions. Might repeat a couple of those tonight because we were getting some interesting answers. Miss Becca, you got any announcements?
No, nothing.
Are you doing readings still?
Still doing personal readings. I've replied to everybody, so check your emails. That's all. Really. I cannot. Like, if you contact me for an emergency reading or you want one right now, I can't do that. I have a job.
A day
not
job.
so, and I schedule out because I only do readings Fridays and Saturdays. Fridays after 4:00 Pacific Standard Time, and then Saturdays if I don't have anything planned. family stuff or personal stuff, so I can't drop everything I'm doing to accommodate someone that wants a reading immediately. Like, can't do that.
All of my readings go through my website, jinlintarot.com. If you schedule a reading, you should get an automated reply confirming it from my website. And if you don't get that, check your spam folder or your junk folder. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I didn't get a confirmation." Well, check the junk folder. Sometimes those automated messages go to spam. Also, if you would like to register for the Healing Energy Seminar I'm teaching in the last week of September and another class the first weekend of October, go to jinlintarot.com and click on seminars. There's more information there. I teach you how to work from the astral body back into the physical, and anyone can do it because it's done through a technique, a breathing technique, how you channel the energy. So that will be available to register for into August, and then it gets cut off. So if you want to come, get registered before August. Mr. Johnny's still rebooting, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. I missed you guys' show on Thursday, so I'm going to have to go back. What channel was it on, yours or Lori's?
It was on Lori's.
Lori's? Okay.
Becca, I went back. I was watching your grand tableau you did in December on Trump, and then re-listened to your one you did like a week and a half ago. It'd be interesting to compare the two because, like, it was picking up all the stuff about how they're trying to sabotage Trump, Biden. That he should drop out and everything. Go
ahead.
Be discerning, you guys, when you're seeing Democrats on Twitter saying that they think Biden should step down. A lot of them, it's bogus. It's
and if I may, not just that. I've seen a lot of Democrats coming on MSNBC saying that Biden needs to step aside. And here's my thing. The media is supposed to, and journalists are supposed to inform the public. This whole thing is speculation and ratings chasing. And it's like, we saw you do this with Obama. We saw you do it with Clinton. You're doing it again.
It's fear-mongering.
And it's not just fear-mongering. It's they're influencing the election as well. So I'm not saying there are people out there that are not politically savvy, that don't really understand all the stuff that's going on. Hell, there's people that don't even know January 6th happened. If you can believe that, and they turn on the TV and all you hear is wall to wall 24/7. Biden needs to drop out. Biden. Meanwhile, nobody says anything about the twice impeached, criminally indicted,
convicted and indicted,
awaiting 3 criminal trials, who tried to overthrow and who's sundowning at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Not a word about that. Not a word. So be careful and be mindful. And another thing I was going to say, Jenny, is on that grand tableau, the one that I just did, Project 2025 was centered to his reading. It was the storks, the cross, and then underneath it was the book and the sun. And I was talking about Project 2025. And I didn't piece together in the grand tableau why that was the focus in the heart of his tableau. Well, now it's coming out that Trump's trying to distance himself. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they're doing, but yada, yada, yada. Well, all those people were in his administration. Everybody behind Project 2025 was in his administration. And another thing that I said too was that secrets that are in the courts that he's trying to keep away from the public come out, because it was the garden in the House of Tower, and then the book in the House of Garden, and then the sun right next to it in the House of Mountain. Well, everything got pushed back because of the Supreme Court ruling. And I said it goes back to the courts, and it kind of gets stuck in this loop of fighting over and over and over again. Well, now we find out that Judge Chutkan is going to have to hold preliminary hearings. So all that trash is going to come out in the open. It might not go to trial before the election,
be out there.
Everything is going to be out there. So,
it was interesting because I was thinking about this the other night, and I was looking because I can't remember the numbers on Lenormand cards. I was like, what is card 20 and what is card 25? And it's the garden and the ring. So I wondered if it would show up that way also, like for 2025.
No, the garden is too far from the ring in this recent one that I did. So, but, and then I was looking at the corners too, and it was dog in the house of Ryder, coffin, Ryder in the house of coffin, snake in the house of moon, and then, what was it? Clover in the house of ring. And I kept saying Biden, Biden, Biden. Well, because of the distance, how far the dog is from the man, Trump is sitting all the way at the bottom in the house of woman. So that distance tells me it's someone that he's no longer in touch with. And I'm like, that could also apply to what's his face, Flyhead. What was his name? Because that person needs man, a dog in the house of Ryder, a friend that delivers news about a loss, lying to win. So that could also apply to Pence as well. So I don't know if Pence is going to be coming in to speak at the trial, or the preliminary hearings, but
yeah, because he had testified to the grand jury.
But now with the whole Supreme Court ruling, now Chutkan has to sit there and kind of go through everything of what's, deemed, what is it? Presidential acts and what's not presidential acts. But there's a person coming in that's going to have to deliver something. And it's about a lying about a loss. So they're talking in the chat, the propaganda that's out there, like they were saying Ted Lieu said that Biden should step down in a meeting that he was at. He wasn't even at the meeting they've referred. They said the same thing about the mayor or the governor in
Michigan.
In Michigan. And it was all a lie. That whole article was a lie. And she had to come out and say, I did not say that. So they're just making shit up. And then there was another guy in the New York Times, which be careful if you're reading the New York Times as well, please, who came out and did this whole op-ed, and it was titled, Why I Didn't Vote and You Shouldn't Either. Well, that's a great way to tell the voting populace stay home. Well, some independent journalists started looking at this guy, and guess what? That article that guy wrote for the New York Times is associated with an extremist Catholic group that was all in favor of the insurrection. So be careful. Try to learn media literacy as best you can in the short window of time that we have, and use discernment, because it's...
The other thing you have to remember, the CEOs of CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, and MSNBC all donated to Trump. The CEOs of all 5 of those networks donated to Trump. So was the CNN, debate fix? Was the interview with George Stephanopoulos and stuff? Yeah, there's a lot of crap going on. So be discerning.
And not just that, but also it came out that the only reason Trump did the debate on CNN was because of what he was demanding for them to not fact check him. Yeah. Otherwise, he just wanted 90 minutes to just lie with no fact checking. And CNN was like, yeah, go ahead.
And he got it.
He's agreed to the NBC one that's in September, but I don't know if they said they would not fact check also. Thank you, Impish. But a lot of them are bots and stuff, and they're impersonating different senators and stuff. So I don't believe it until I see
and even
flat out interview with them. Saying
when you see it, unless, like Jen said, it's in an interview, be extremely careful, because they're also using AI.
Yes,
they're also using AI, because they did a whole interview they made an AI interview with Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, saying that we should change the rotation of the earth so that we're not as close to the sun in the summertime. So climate change like some extreme insanity, and people believed it was true, and it was like, no, that was AI generated.
Oh my God.
So be careful what
Yeah.
you're consuming.
I was laughing my ass off. MTG Idiot of the Year, as Johnny says, if her picture isn't beside stupid in the dictionary, then they need to rewrite the dictionary. She's all in trouble. She was talking about people that signed the Constitution. She talked about Paul Revere, George Washington, Aaron Burr, James Monroe. Aaron Burr, Paul Revere, and George Washington did not sign the Declaration of Independence. Oh, here we go. We got Mr. Johnny.
I mean,
Paul Revere, who ran down the road, was in Boston, was not around for the signing of the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia. So,
I mean, Jenny, this is the lady that reads the word indictments on paper and thinks it means indictments. Okay, so nobody accused her of being smart.
oh, before I forget, happy birthday to Lucky Girl. Her birthday's this week.
Happy birthday, Lucky.
Happy birthday.
What about you, Johnny? Got any?
I didn't do it, and I didn't say it.
Any special announcements, Johnny? I mean,
no. Oh, I wanted to say thank you to Janice for this deck, though. That's my
Nice. What deck is that?
Tarot of the Longest Street.
Wow.
Well over 300 now.
312.
and Johnny, just a word of warning. Mercury, your little bastard planet, goes retrograde next month. So
It's here now.
get your stuff together, homie. Get your stuff.
I restart the computer twice, mind you, 2 times. Turned it completely off. I almost unplugged it. I'm like, is that going to help? It's not, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then it came back on, and then I clicked on the email button, and then that froze too. So I'm like, okay, it's how it's supposed to be. Just sit here. It's okay. Taking the sights. It's fine. I'm here now, so.
Well, oh, Johnny's new bell he got in Portland.
I was copycatting because Lori's got one. I've always wanted one, but I want a small one and not the big giant, because I'm extra, instead of the big giant ones. And so I got the little small ones, and it's perfect.
Roro's like, who's ringing the bell?
It's a nice sounding bell, Johnny.
Are they ringing bells? Bells are on some of the cat toys I have. So she's like, where is it? So I want to start here because the news is not talking about it at all. They dumped thousands of pages from the Epstein trials. And Becca, I know you read a bunch of them. I read a few, but I didn't read as many as you had. I mean, Trump's name is all over it. And
on all logs. Well, that one that I sent you about him sexually assaulting 2 minors, a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old, who he forced to have intercourse with each other, and then he tied one up to the bed and sexually assaulted her.
Without a condom.
That one was the girl that was going to come forward right before 2016, and she backed off because of death threat. So I guess that's kind of old news.
Yeah, because her family was threatened and she was threatened. So she dropped the case like right before the election in 2016.
And somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought there was no statutory limitations or whatever it's called for federal assault of a minor. I mean, I don't know, but that seems like go ahead and pile it on. I mean, we've got 88 indictments already. What's adding another 300 at this point,
They may be afraid to, but I want to know if Trump's name being all over them, because Joe Biden's name is nowhere on those documents, if it's hurting Trump.
And also, if you go on that log and you start reading, a lot of it is redacted. But there's a bunch from Donald J. for Genius Trump that has his name, the time he called, and the message was massage appointment. If you read the Epstein files, you know what a massage appointment is. Okay, you can't mince.
Alan Dershowitz was all over it too.
Mm-hmm. And then there was another guy too that unalived himself in prison, a French guy, John something, whatever. Who
Casablantes or something. I forget his name.
But I'm gonna sit this one out.
And he was the one. What role did he play again?
He was one of the people that was into the whole getting
modeling agent.
The modeling agent.
Yeah, there's a couple of the modeling agents.
He was sort of like the PIMP-ish kind of one of the people with Ghislaine. So what are we asking?
Is the document dump, will it hurt Trump? The fact that his name's all over it. Because
Mr. F's document dump.
People like Midas Touch and Brian Tyler Cohen have been talking about it, but the news media has not been.
No, the news. Biden needs to drop out. Meanwhile, there's all this
crap.
Yeah.
So they're stirring up Biden dropping out at the same time as the document dump.
At this point, I'm convinced that it's a coordinated effort by the media to just
sabotage.
And here's the thing: who are you going to put in? You can't. If it's Kamala, then yeah, maybe you might be able to transfer the money, but you just can't pluck somebody out of thin air and expect to raise that sort of money a few months before the election. It's just ridiculous. Like, just shut up. Let Joe run, and if he has problems, he can step down, and Kamala's in. Shut up.
Because if you nominated somebody else, who's it going to be? Kamala, I should say.
Because he would need to resign and hand it over to her so that she would get all the delegates.
Yep. And I think because she's the vice president, I think she might be able to use the campaign funds. If it's just anybody else, good luck. You can't take that money. They can't transfer it, Tasha, they don't.
Wow, what you getting, Lori?
I was just thinking I'm going to re-ask this. I think because I asked, will he be affected by it? So if I go with that, I'm getting a yes, he will. And it's because of something that happened with a light-haired woman. So it would be someone that was the coloring of the Queen of Wands, or because she would be much older now, right? She wouldn't be a page. She may have been a page then, but she'd be a queen. So I'm going to go with. I'm going to ask another question, but I'm going to go with yes. I think there's some sort of a delay before it all blows up, but.
Maybe the delay is the media on this Biden 24/7 wall-to-wall fire hose coverage of Biden needs to drop out. Meanwhile, criminal over there, it's like.
Thank you, Rhonda. I kept waiting to see, are there any tapes? Because we know Epstein had a lot of tapes and stuff. What are you getting, Johnny?
Affect him with who? We don't need to see it. As far as his name being associated with Epstein, we already believe it. His supporters would just see it as a hit campaign. Like you're trying to, take it down because Biden this or whatever, the whataboutism type of thing. So I get the 10 of Cups. So his supporters are still there, at least some of them. Now, I won't say it didn't do anything, but if I were him, I would stay off a debate stage. Because mind you, what people are talking about with Biden failing the debate was at the beginning. He was fine the rest of the time. And so he also said he was tired of this, and he's 1,000 years old. So, okay, fine. But here, this puts Trump in a very, very, very difficult position with the 7 of Wands and the 2 of Swords to have to defend against being a felon and now being an Epstein participant. And you've been trending for weeks or a week or two now. Usually trending topics go away after a little bit, but this little Epstein thing is hooked because we've seen you with the pictures already, but now there's a whole bunch of different kind of evidence. And then there's the Hangman and the King of Swords. Does it affect him? Yes, it does. And I think that's not necessarily what it says here. With the 7 of Swords being your word of warning, there's a scheme to try to get out of this, but this is a whole lot of dirt. The 2 swords that person always drops behind means your plan could fail at any moment as soon as somebody gets the right kind of evidence. So with the Hangman, there's another shoe to drop. I don't know what kind just yet, but you do have the Ace of Swords. We will find out. Because this is clarity, this is truth as well. So this is the year of exposure. What's happening with the media is supposed to happen because they're now showing us their face too. And so we're supposed to see all of this. All of this is supposed to happen. So breathe deep, be calm. This is what's supposed to happen. This is a good thing, actually. Now you know who to listen to and who to trust and so forth and so on.
Yeah, I've got Trump on the bottom here. I start with a big yes. That it's really bad news for him. It's like the whole network that was investigated and the whole lifestyle that was looked into. This could end up in court again. I'd like to look at that. This could end up in court again because it's dirty old men and children. And dirty old white men and children, I should clarify. But yeah, I get loser Trump. Some people might shift their votes away. And it may also impact the House, like people he's endorsed.
Those, I guess they're transcripts because it's from when they were interviewing witnesses and victims and stuff. They go into some detail. So I put the link in my community page, and I do put a trigger warning there. So if any of that stuff bothers you, do not read it. There's a lot of bad. But I gotta say, like when the darkness claimed him, I was skeptical about that being a job. But there was a part of me that's like, but after reading that stuff, I was like, if there was one person that had the motive and an attorney general crooked enough to see it out, it was Barr and Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, after reading all that stuff, and I didn't even make a dent in those documents. Like there's so many. It's like you open up one PDF and it's file after file after file. I mean, you got to keep scrolling to read the whole thing.
Wow.
And it's just like,
there's so many documents. Somebody I heard said that Trump's name was in it like over 1,000 times. Well,
I don't know. I
can imagine because it was all over everything I did read just in a few pages.
So,
look, Lori, did you ask a different way?
I asked in what way it would affect him. And I got the Emperor, the Tower, and a ruling.
So what does that mean, Lori?
I feel that this is going to be that there's a court, something like what Johnny came up with too, and that it involves other people in high places with money. That this is just all going and partying and doing those kind of things. So I feel like it will, and the Justice card is the Libra card, so maybe October
time, September, October.
I'm gonna ask
weird too, like you were saying about parties and stuff. In those documents, there's a few instances in I guess it's the written transcript or whatever from victims and also people that worked at his residence where they were talking about party where it's just like all these old men and girls, like 12, 13, 14-year-old girls, like they're going to prom with dirty old men hanging all over them. And it's just like, ugh, like just gross, dude. Just gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this could end up again in court, and it could be like this is going to move forward after all these years, because that Epstein and conviction, that was in like 2008, 2009. It was a long time ago. But I get like, maybe it's because Ghislaine, being in prison, that maybe they're trying to block her from giving any information, because she'd like to give something to get out of prison sooner, right?
Yeah.
I think this could end up, give it a little bit of time, but this could end up in court again, and Trump's going to be trapped right in the middle of it.
And you know what? You can't claim presidential immunity, homeboy, because that was not an official act, and you were a private citizen back in 2008. So.
Yeah, something's going to break loose on this. It's going to bring changes. Something is. There's a female that's going to like take it on again, I think.
Yeah, Annie Hamlin is saying Barr's father was friends with Epstein. Well, Barr's father actually hired Epstein to be some sort of math teacher at a school when he didn't have the degree to be doing that. Oh, and put him in with your children in school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Letting the fox in the hen house.
Yep.
But then let me go sexually assault minors and let's take away your abortion rights too while we're at it. I mean, just make it make sense, because I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, I'd like to know, what does Justice Sotomayor think about the 6 justices that voted to give immunity to Trump?
Well,
her dissent was blistering. Is she able to work with them at all, or is she just completely pissed off now?
Well, hopefully she put something on their chairs. Or maybe she KY'd the toilet seat at the Supreme Court. I'm sure they all have their own bathroom. I'm just kidding.
And especially Chief Justice Roberts. That's got to be really disturbing to see him vote along with that.
He's always been that way. He's just been better at hiding it. Not being so blatant about it. He's always been that way.
Congratulations, France and England. They really ousted the right wing in their elections.
Good. And we can look at that and say, okay, that looks to be a trend, because for a while there we were seeing a trend in rising authoritarianism and extreme right-wing propaganda stuff in democracies. And now we're seeing a pushback. So if they can do it there, we can do it here. So just get your asses out to vote. Take people with you.
Yeah, drag your asses out to vote and drag some other asses out too.
Mm-hmm. And if they say no water, honey, pack you a cooler, pack you a chair, an umbrella, do what you got to do and vote.
What you getting, Johnny?
I think she knows. She's very savvy. She knows who she works with the Ace of Swords, clarity, truth. She's not in the dark on this. However, it is a bit of a struggle. There is the Chariot card, which is a teamwork card. There's the Burden card, and there's the Strength card. She does have hopes, though, that something is about to change, or something is changing within the energy that's out there right now. But she knows this. I mean, this is Seven of Swords. She's not surprised. It's kind of one of those things to where she will hold her judgment until you give her another or say any other kind of reason to unleash what it is, how she feels. She knows who these people are. They're conservative and they're not going to go your way whatsoever. And so she knows who they are already, but she'll give anybody at least one chance until you prove otherwise.
What you getting, Lori?
Well, I think she had words with one of them, at least. And my guess is that it was Roberts. I think she had words with Roberts. But I also feel, and she just feels like it's just been nuts in there. Just nuts. She thinks that she really tried to put her words in that paper and let everybody know. And she will continue working until what goes around comes around, and more people will get, more judges will come in, and it will get balanced out. She will wait. She will wait.
What you getting, Becca?
I get the fox, the woman, the crossroads, the fish, and the snake. Sotomayor is a smart person, but she sees it for what it is. It's a very partisan, because this sits in the middle of the crossroads, very partisan court. And a lot of problems and a lot of liars. The fox, crossroads, and snake, they manipulated a decision and twisted it out of its context to get what they wanted. But again, they are in the majority. The fish is a lot of something in abundance. So what does she think of them? She thinks they're just partisan hacks and liars, and that partisan hacks and liars that are manipulative and cunning and are liars. Because right now there's a video going around all over YouTube. I think Brian Taylor Cohen did one, Midas Touch did one. I think it was on MSNBC. Every single Republican justice on that court is on video saying, no, that law is precedent and it stands. That law is precedent and it stands. That nobody is above the law.
No one's above the law.
Nobody's
No.
above the law. In comes Trump. Well, we can make an exception, but abortion rights aren't in the Constitution, so clearly that's unconstitutional. But absolute presidential immunity isn't in the Constitution either. But you know what? For Trump, we'll do it. And if you think that Biden has the same equal stuff, I think it was Katie Fang, and what's his face, the lawyer that's always on MSNBC with the glasses, very soft-spoken guy. What's his name? Andrew Wiseman. They're saying, if you read closely, it's not everybody has that immunity. They brought the decision back to themselves. We will decide who has the immunity. So they've overreached on their power as well. Do you see what I'm saying? So she sees them as out of control and just partisans and liars. And there's a lot of trouble there with how money's coming in too. This is roads and avenues. There's money, and there's a lot of trouble on the money that's coming into the court and who's funding decisions that are being funded. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
I get that too. I see, like, this has been going on for a long time, and I think she did talk to someone about tempering this, but all that money coming in started the chaos. Like, to get on the same page, they can't do it. They're all fighting and arguing, and she's unclear about when this will change. But I do think she feels that there'll be an image change coming later. Right now, they're all in bed with the Republicans and the Republican donors. She will keep working in isolation, but there's people being paid off, and that's upsetting her.
Yeah. There was something else that's being brought to the courts that's problematic, and I forget what it was, but it's just like. And here's
legalizing bribery.
Yes, legalizing bribery. Presidents, even though that's explicitly in the Constitution, you cannot do that. They're like, Yeah, well, we got to cover Trump in case anything ever comes up against the emoluments, civil and domestic, or domestic and abroad, because he violated that every day of the week, including on Sundays, you know? But
So-
the other thing was, how does this affect impeachments moving forward? Because according to the SCOTUS decision, if it's an official act, then it's covered. Well, impeachment, you need to prove high crimes and misdemeanors. So how are you going to prove high crimes and misdemeanors if you're saying the president is above the law?
You're not.
Especially if there's a quid pro quo, like in the first impeachment.
Yeah. When we decide, we're going to decide who's, you know, allowed to. I mean, it's like they just took a big whiteout or a Sharpie and just started Xing shit out of the Constitution, because it doesn't make sense. High crimes and misdemeanors, and now the Supreme Court saying no, they can't commit high crimes and misdemeanors if it's an official act. So I hope this whole Biden situation, if we're going to impeach Biden, just throw that out the window, because the Supreme Court just said the presidents can do whatever. So
Clarence Thomas basically gave guidance to Judge Cannon that he didn't think Jack Smith was appointed legally. So I want to know, will Judge Cannon heed Clarence Thomas's advice and throw the case out?
Here's the problem, though. It doesn't matter who investigated him. You still had documents that were not yours in a place they should not have been.
It's still an
espionage. It doesn't matter if it was Dick Tracy, if it was Columbo who found it. It still was not yours at the end of the day.
And here's the thing. It was not an official act because he was a private citizen when they caught him with all the crap.
And you stole. What official act says you can go steal something that's not yours and stick it in the bathroom of your resort?
And then share it with reporters and get recorded sharing that information.
And eat some of them. What official act says president must eat documents?
Flush them down the toilet, Johnny, remember? You gotta flush 15 times.
Yes, you get
it's because Judge Cannon isn't that smart. You know, the fact that she left off guilty or not guilty on one of her trials is a choice. She's definitely being coached by people with the Heritage Foundation or something.
Judge Cannon follow Clarence Thomas's advice
and say that Jack Smith was illegally appointed.
And mind you, special counsel stuff happened back when Nixon, because of all the crap Nixon did. So what, they're going to just start rewriting that law too? They're legislating from the bench is what they're doing, which is, by the way, illegal, but they're doing it anyways.
Now, Team Nauta tried to get something dismissed and she wouldn't do it. That was recent. But Trump's another story.
Well, you heard her the first time, Jen, when she got overturned. One of the things she said before she was even assigned the case, she just took it, you know, and she said, no, Trump needs to be treated differently because he was a former president. And that was one of the things that the 11th Circuit smacked her down on. They bench slapped her because she was saying that Trump is above the law because he was a former president. You know, that was one of the things. So,
what you getting, Lori?
I think she is going to follow his advice. I think someone tries to stop her, but I think she's going to try to follow his advice.
What you getting, Johnny?
Like all the readings that I do for him, like the tableaus and things, it says that this woman, or a woman, I'll be fair, is very committed to his innocence, but that woman is in the justice system somehow. And so she is committed for him having a not guilty verdict or dismissed or something of that nature. But I do get here that she is quite pressured to do nothing or to make no decision, the Nine of Wands, Four Swords. And so I would say no. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if, because people have sabotaged their life for this man since they've known him. So why wouldn't she be another one? and then let the worst fall. But
And then in her mind, I'm a federal judge. You can't get me out of here unless you
can't do nothing.
Yeah. Well, with enough motivation and enough complaints, yeah, you can be impeached. So,
But get her court here for wands, temperance and the 9 of cups, something that they really want. She does try to bring to fruition. There is a man here, though, the 6 of Pentacles and the King of Wands, who has a whole lot to say about this and possibly a whole lot to do as well. But whatever he's doing in 2 different places. So I don't know how all that works. If he has to go to this court and then that district and then this, I don't know. But there's a man doing something here in 2 different places, but he's doing them simultaneously. So he's like filing something here and filing something there. It's not Jack Smith, though. So I don't know who that is, but she would love to. There's Knight of Cups, 10 of Cups. She would love to say Trump's case dismissed or something like that, or try to throw some kind of wrench in it because of Jack Smith not being legally. Mind you, he said he thinks he was not legally appointed. Not that I know he was illegally appointed, but at the same time, like I said, it does not matter if it was Dick Tracy or Colombo. You still have something that was not yours. It's the same that happened in New York. You can say, oh, Michael Cohen just lied on the stand, or he stole money from Donald Trump. You still committed the crime. It doesn't matter who else was involved. We're talking about you right now.
And to your point, Johnny, Michael Cohen took the stand under oath. Donald Trump did not. He did not. He wanted to get his back order, taken away so he can go talk crap in front of the reporters, but not under oath. Same thing applies in the case with Cannon, to Johnny's point. So,
yeah, I think she may use this to try to end it and, throw it out to support Trump and ease his transition. That's going to cause a big old nightmare. If she trashes this, and I do get a yes, she'll trash it. But there's going to be a big old fight, and she may end up separated from the case, and it may start anew. So whether they move it to New Jersey and Bedminster area, do a raid on Bedminster and find more documents, something. I think she'll end up, or she gets removed in Florida and somebody else put on the case.
I think if she were to throw out that case, because of even of how, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just speculating, but the severity of the case that we're dealing with espionage and national security secrets, and she throws it out, I don't think she gets the final say. I'm thinking somebody can go to the 11th Circuit and they can not bench slap her, bench freaking punch her in the face. Like, that's serious crap, So, just saying.
Speaking of our legalizing bribery, Menendez in New Jersey, Mr. Gold Bricks from Egypt, since bribery is now legalized, will he use that to try to get the case thrown out?
Is this seriously even really happening? Okay. All right. Let's look and see.
There's a part of me that really thinks that was decided to keep Clarence Thomas's ass out of trouble.
Will Menendez be able to use
legalized bribery
to his benefit
in his New Jersey case? Because if it got appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court, they'd have to uphold that, right? Or change their ruling.
This court is very partisan. They're going to call balls and strikes, and it's always going to be strikes for Democrats and balls for Republican. Let's not get it twisted. Let's just not. They said it themselves. We are going to decide. I hope y'all don't hear Braxy out there.
A little bit.
But she can say anything she wants.
Do you understand what she's saying, Lori?
I want to play.
Put food in my mouth hole, please.
What you getting, Lori?
I get that he will try. He will try. It's at first it's like, oh no, we're gonna block him. No, that's not gonna happen. But he's gonna try it. It doesn't mean he gets away with it, but he's going to try it.
Yeah. What you getting, Johnny?
First car was the son, so that's yes, but it's not necessarily him trying to use this particular excuse, but he's trying to use something like it to where what he did was on the up and up or was legitimate because of Statute 9, Clause 4, Paragraph 3, and the Book of Hades somewhere that they used to get all their laws from. And so there is some sort of deep, dark thing here with the Hermit and the Eight of Wands that they are trying to use for his defense. It's all technicality. And here's the crazy part, though. The Ace of Wands and the Empress, there is some sort of new action for mercy, though. So I don't think they're throwing the book at him. I think whatever does happen to him eventually is maybe a slap on the wrist, but it's more like a pat on the wrist type thing. It's very minor compared to what should happen when an elected official gets bribed by somebody, left or right. But he gets some sort of mercy here in the end, so something works in his favor.
He's going to throw his wife under the bus.
Naturally.
Wife, meet bus. Whee! Like.
What you getting, Becca?
I get a yes, but it doesn't work because this has already been something that's been long standing. It's solid. So it's the snake, the ring, and the tree. There's a problematic relationship, a problematic agreement, some sort of troublesome promise that was made, but it's solid. So doesn't apply to you.
Yeah. I get yes when it goes to a higher court. So in appeals, that he'll use that as a defense, offer it up here, and he'll lose. But I get a yes. He'll try to say, "Oh, I was doing this, to try to help my own country." There's something about it. Like, I was working with these people to try to help America. The plan was to help America. He'll take it to a higher court eventually, but judgment sits on him, so won't work.
No, sir. I bought 10 bags of Cheetos because I wanted to have Frito-Lay. No, sir. You was hungry, and that's all you. Okay, thank you.
Wow.
Judge Merchan sentencing in September. Will he go harder on Trump in light of the immunity verdict from SCOTUS? Will he go in harder on him in sentencing?
It's September now.
September 18th or 19th, something like that.
What happened to July 11th? Where is my bad?
Well, because of the immunity thing, there were some witnesses like Pope Hicks who are testifying about things he said in the White House, and that can't be used because of the immunity. So they may even have to drop some of the convictions.
But it still stands. It still stands. You still lied and made up a bunch of business records prior to becoming president.
Yeah,
so,
34 convictions. Okay, so if it drops to 30, who cares? It's still 30 more than Biden has.
In light of the SCOTUS bill, will he? Judge Merchan, Juan Merchan, go harder. Go harder. Be more strict. Will he be more strict?
What you got there, Becca?
From the
showing
Grand
up in the
Tableau, I
GT.
pulled it out because remember in the Grand Tableau I said there's indictments or more indictments or whatever coming. Well, it's hitting in September. Not it's probably meaning sentencing, but it's hitting This is June, July, August, September, right here. So I'm going to sit this one out while I stare.
Okay. You can tell us what's in the GT about it. Wow, I think he will. What are you getting, Lori?
I was really hoping to see the emperor, but I'm coming out.
You're all helping out.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I wanted to see. What I got was the magician. So I think he's looking up and searching for everything he can possibly get a hold of. I do think, if it's helpful, he will come up with a surprise. I think we will be a little bit surprised with what he decides to do. So I think he's going to be creative, like the magician. And he may be able to skirt around something. So he's crafty in that way. So I'm going to say he's going to still try to get in there and get at it. So I'm going to say yes.
What you getting, Johnny?
I get that.
With gritted teeth.
It's because it's very grain of saltish, hashtag grain of salt. Okay. What he does affects Trump in a very serious way. But if you told Trump his nails look bad today, that affects him in a serious way. So I take it very lightly because of the kind of person he is. But at the same time, cards are cards, and I'll show you what it got. There's the 9 of Swords and the Death card is how it starts. So this is a very, very, very major change, very big deal to the Trump, but it would be because he got convicted. And now he faces, though, this did not pop up last time. I got the 4 of Swords last time. 4 of Swords is like a house arrest or community service or something that's not incarceration. There is something different to this one, though. I don't know if he's actually considering jail time now. And so there's that. But there's the 10 of Swords, complete ruin. That's the plan that he is going to, I guess, give him, if you will, 2 of Wands, and then the 10 of Wands, burden. Because, of course, he's going to try to take this and turn it into something else. But when you've been burdened by ruin, is different in our lives than it would be Donald Trump's. And so telling him he can't tweet is devastating because he's a chatty Cathy. So it's one of them type of things. So it says it's devastating what happens to him, but again, it's Trump. So I don't know how devastating it will be. So we'll see, I guess.
I get something about the way he structures it. He's very anxious about this ruling, but he also wants to send a message because Trump worked together with other people in this payoff, and I'm getting abundance and strength. So I think he will give him a lot more than he was when it's all said and done, when it's all complete. Now it'll go up to appeals, of course, and go to higher courts, but I think he will, sit in judgment as the emperor and come down on Trump, and it's going to rock Trump. It's going to throw him off balance. He may give him like 2 years is what I'm getting.
That's what I got on my grand tableau, 2 to 4 years, because the crossroads.
I must have missed that part.
Yeah, it was then because the crossroads sits in the house of fate, or the line of fate in the house of cross, which means multiple, several areas that you're going to suffer. You're going to be punished. The crossroads is number 22. The number for crossroads is 2, or double 2, or any variation of 2. So I said, and when I was reading, I was like 2 to 4 years maybe, but I did not see him being incarcerated for the timeline set here, which makes sense because there's 2 appeals courts he has to go through before he can get to the Supreme Court. The first one has got the 5 African American women there that he's going to just love that. And then the second one, I think, has like 21 or 23 lawyers or something ridiculous, or judges. So he's got to get through those 2 before he can make it up to the Supreme Court. So he's going to sit with that sentencing. He won't go to prison while he's appealing, but he's still going to have that sentencing hanging over his head. So,
well, speaking of things hanging over their heads, Bannon went to jail up in Connecticut, but he has a court case starting in New York in September. And he appealed. He wanted to go to Club Fed, and the judge is like, no. Yeah, so he's in a regular federal penitentiary. Well, he's going to have to be moved to Rikers Island for his court case in New York in September.
Hey,
So
is the Trump's old buddy still over there? What's his face?
Weisselberg?
Weisselberg is still
He's
there?
over there. Weasel's over
They could be
there.
bunkmates. Talk about how much they love Trump.
He might be done by then.
first, I want to know how Bannon's doing in prison, because he is all bluff and talk like, I'm ready to go. It's like, yeah, you haven't gone to Rikers yet. You're put in with the regular inmates. You are not at Club Fed. How's little pizza face doing? And he can't campaign for Trump because he's in prison for 4 months.
He tried to use that.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And little MTG going up there with him as they're saying goodbye, and somebody stood behind MTG with a sign that said bleach blonde bad built good body.
Oh God, she's never gonna live that down. It's never. It'll never. No.
And the whistle blowing and everything, drowning them out as they're trying to talk.
This is why you should remain encouraged, everybody, because our country is more of us than it is of them. They just make the news because why wouldn't you? Because they act the silliest or the stupidest or the most dangerous out of all of us. And so that's what makes the news. But it is more of us than it is of them, even in red states, believe it or not. We just don't vote in the numbers we should. And so be encouraged.
I have a question. Because in my reading here, I know the question was, how's he doing in prison right now? But I'm seeing indictments, and he's not sure where this is going to go with the investigation with the fake electors. So that's where my mind is going. Like, is he waiting to be indicted? Because or has Jack Smith? Because I know Jack Smith and the states have gotten all the fake electors and the low people. In the big one where they got Trump, they still haven't gotten everybody yet.
They haven't gotten everybody yet. So he may be worried about future indictments. Yeah.
That's what I got the ship, the scythe, the letter, the clouds, and the fox. He's not happy. He's like looking over his shoulder, fearing for a target on his back. That's danger. So he's not happy. He's not happy. He can't be out going. His vacation was canceled right there. Look, vacation canceled. You're not going anywhere, homeboy. Okay, but he recognizes the danger that he's in. This right here would tell me dangerous news. So perhaps some sort of an indictment or something, because it's followed by the clouds. It's not good. And then it has to do with the transition results that were manipulated. See? Transition results manipulated. So I don't know if he was one of the masterminds behind that, and now he's getting a taste of prison going, oh crap, I'm here for 4 years and I'm possibly looking at a longer sentence when I get caught up in that whole spiel.
Eastman and Chesbrough, weren't they the ones that were the masterminds? But I think Bannon promoted it on his.
Because there's something there about the transition results were manipulated.
And Navarro.
Navarro.
So I think he's gotten a taste of his short vacation. It's what, 4 months, 3 months, something stupid.
4.
Well, get used to it. Get used to it, because you might have a longer one coming. You know, so he's not happy, and he's very. It ends with the fox. He's being very cautious and very skittish. Foxes are very resourceful animals, but if you ever watch them, they're very skittish. They're kind of cowardly. They don't. So all that jazz you hear him on
all that bluster,
and what's the word I'm looking for? Where he beefs himself up and we're bringing out the guns, and that
His bravado.
His bravado. You ain't talking like that in prison. You're looking over your shoulder. You're sleeping with one eye open because you know there's a target on you. So I'm just saying that's my read. To make of it what you will. I gotta go get my kid because she's being a mess.
Yeah, I think he's already had a romantic overture towards him in prison. I think somebody's already. Look, prison inmates, you can do better than Steve Bannon. That man is ugly. I know you may be desperate in prison, but that man is ugly. So he is like trying to temper himself down and be unnoticed. I'm getting, because it's like a party on the cell block here, and the justice sitting on him. I think he's worried about what's coming in, that there could be other news coming in about votes like Becca was picking up on. And he's worried that judgment might extend his time, and his time's up. He's feeling backstabbed, but I think he's had a romantic overture on him in prison. What y'all getting?
What do you got, Johnny?
I did this reading already, and maybe that's why it didn't give me much on how he feels. I got a bunch of other stuff, though. The Four of Wands and the Page of Swords, this has something to do with spies and liars and some sort of campaign or something that they tried to launch, which could be your fake electors. There's also something too. Seven of Swords can also be another spy type card, or a card of a person in disguise, because that's what's happening in the card is a person sneaks into the camp to steal the swords because you look like one of them, so they don't suspect you. So this could also be with the Page of Pentacles, something around where he launched another campaign. I don't. Has he paid the price for the build the wall thing already?
That's the next trial coming up. Build the wall.
Then
with all the money he embezzled.
Whatever it was here, there's some sort of plan with Page of Pentacles for him to gain money from people that looks as though they're on his same side. And then there's the campaign for that too. So this is a bunch of stuff that's coming to head all at once. So he's kind of mirroring Trump, where everything's about to fall at the same time. Seven of Wands and Four of Swords. He is defending. He wants to be like in solitary. He's afraid of jail. Don't let all that know. It's different than it is. I don't know this from personal firsthand experience, but I would think it's a little different than it is on TV. Everybody ain't got lines and cameras following you around. And so this is a little different, and he's quite afraid because he's very defensive. He wants to be by himself, or like solitude or something like I need to be safe, if you will.
I need to be in solitary.
Because he's got the straight card next to
freshly deliced and showered. You are fresh meat on the cell block. Probably first shower he's had in months. What you get, Lori?
I think he's upset because he only is allowed to have pencils. But I really believe that someone did try to make him some overseer, or yes. And I feel like they moved him already one time.
they're probably harassing him.
Something happened. Something happened, and they moved him. And
They know who
he
you
lost.
are.
He lost it. He is. I'm not going to even go into his feelings of, because that is not a happy place, and I don't wish it on anyone. But he is madder than a murder hornet, and them are pretty mean. Madder. Matter Hatter.
Can you do the time? Don't do the crime.
That's exactly right. He's mad.
Will the GOP support Trump's VP pick?
Oof.
Whoo. Will you support?
Thank you, Sharon, for posting all of our links.
Can I ask a question after this?
Uh-huh.
The GOP support Trump's. Did anyone see the co-chair RNC's July 4th video that was posted?
No.
Lara
Trump's
there.
workout video.
Oh no.
Happy 4th of July workout video to a rap song with butt poses.
Good.
Yep.
You must see it.
Meanwhile, the Trump family calls her horse face, so I guess she's putting her best side forward.
There were several Republican people on there saying, is this necessary? What is this?
No.
And then they said a word that I did not know what it was. I had to go look it up. They called her a thought, a T-H-O-T. Bonnie knows what it means. I had to get on the Google machine.
Okay, Lori, what's a thought?
T-H-O-T. They called her, like 3 Republican people called her a thought. It's that hoe over there. T-H-O-T. You can't make this up. No, happy freedom, nothing about her father-in-law, nothing about how we won our independence. A workout video with butt poses.
The problem is the whole party's like that. Boebert and MTG and Lara. It's like, there's a lot of thoughts. A lot of thoughts and prayers.
I was just like, listen, I had to watch it twice. I had to see how long and how many
Lord Jesus.
while they were showing her butt.
I find it even more funny that you had to look it up. That's what makes it even more funny.
What did I miss? I heard Lori talking about looking at somebody's butt, and I was like, what did I just walk in on?
Oh, Lord.
Lori again, Lori, and I'll try to catch my breath.
So July 4th, the RNC co-chair, Lara Trump, did a video. She did a hot body video of her working out. And
so she's a bad built butch buddy too, I guess.
And she to a rapper, and no mention of Happy Independence Day. It just said 4th of July, and nothing about her father-in-law, nothing about how we gained our independence or us as a country or anything. Just jumping up and down on top of these like big speaker things or something, and doing this dance. And some of the Republican people on there were like, because I guess she posted it even on Next, and I'm not kidding. And they said, like, one girl said, is that really necessary? Like, a Republican was saying this. Is that really necessary? And then there were some guys calling her a thought, a THOT. And I was like, what?
Okay, I'm not down with the lingo. What's a thought?
I had to Google it. It's
I had to get Lori to tell
that
me.
hoe over there. And then I had to watch it a second time to see how long, just to see how long they kept the camera on her butt and the butt pose.
Was she trying to compete with Beyonce or something? Like, what is going on here?
No, Bo Burton, MTG apparently.
You have to see it. I had to watch it twice.
I don't know. I mean, look, we know bleach is not safe, but I'm going to have to bleach my eyeballs and my brain after I watch something like that. Johnny, very appropriate shirt. Very appropriate shirt.
When I read what thought meant, then I lost it.
Now I
I
will
had to
never
Google
forget what thought meant.
I had no idea that even. So it was Bobert and MTG.
No. It was just Lara Trump.
Lara Trump.
Yes.
Horseface. You know, the one they call Horseface.
The co-chair of the RNC, jumping up and down on these speakers and like working out. And
This is what happens when you let celebrities or people who are just infatuated with fame run your party. Donald Trump would probably twerk too if he knew how. So it's just like them things.
You know what would have been funny if one of those speakers would have fell over. If one of those speakers would have fell over, I would have been over there on Google right now. Show me the video. Show me the video.
Didn't twerk. She did some sidestep dancing, but she didn't twerk. But they did call some people in her own party called her a thought.
Because a thought is it's derogatory. Mainly used for females, but it's not always. Like video girls, people who want to hang out with the rappers and then would who wants to be in like the booty shaking videos.
That's what it was.
Yes, that's why she gets that.
You must see it.
How long before Lara Trump is on Dancing with the Stars, y'all? Because this girl is clout chasing like nobody's business. I'm gonna have to look up the album, Lori, when we're off, because I haven't seen it.
Turn the sound off so you don't get your community strike or whatever they call that thing.
You can't see.
I don't know if I can show it.
Oh my God.
Are you effing kidding me right now?
What is she on the ground like Paula Abdul? What is she doing?
A bad workout.
She's just crawling over boxes.
And then she jumps down and back up, wait for the butt pose.
It would have been funnier if Lara, get the stripper pole out next time, okay? Get this
from behind.
That is too desperate. Oh, that's sad and pathetic. Oh my God.
She's doing squats.
Doing squat.
What's sad is if that was some woman who just was doing a regular video, fine, whatever. But you're supposed to be one of the people in charge of the RNC. You're okay.
This was your co-chair RNC saying Happy 4th of July.
Over there doing some bad impression of American Ninja Warriors or something, jumping over boxes like twerking.
Okay.
It's like the video of MTG doing squats where somebody added in and made her look like she was sharding every time.
That's okay. I'm voting to put Lara Trump on American Ninja Warriors because that would be funny. That would be funny.
God.
She'd bust her
What
ass.
is wrong with these? That's y'all party. That's it right there. That's what y'all want on just okay. You go right ahead.
It
Okay.
makes you wonder who's filming her for the butt thing. It's like, okay, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it.
I wonder if it's pace, like, go, girl, go.
She probably had a whole film crew, and they probably did like
She
50
did.
different takes.
The same people that told her she had a great singing voice with a little auto-tune help.
Okay, I pulled cards for something, but I don't remember what it was.
We were asking would the GOP support Trump's VP pick,
Okay.
but I'm thinking,
Those who support him, yes. The Seven of Pentacles and the Fool card. So those who are sort of already in his camp will go and march off the cliff with him with this in particular one. They may be a bit radical. Well, in our view, but for them, it may be something else. The Two of Swords and the Hermit, though, and the Magician. So I had a follow-up question, but I don't anymore. I don't think they help whatsoever. Whoever this person is very... If you start digging, they sound like Rush Limbaugh type thing. Like they have a very radical view of things. With the Magician and that Fool card there in the Three of Cups. This is who he thinks he needs. And they're going to go out there and they're going to have the ability to speak real reckless because he can't. Well, at least not right now. And so I think they will not help. But those who support him will support whatever he does, even breaking the law. So, yes, some of them will and some of them won't. The ones who don't do not come out and say anything.
I'm getting that damn woman coming up again that may get the job offer.
What'd you get, Lori? Or I'm sorry.
I'm just getting like a surprise in the future, giving a job offer that makes them all anxious, talking it over in the Republican Party, but I'm getting a job offer to a female to go up against Biden.
Now we did ask this. We did ask this. Sorry, Jen. We did ask this in class tonight because we had our final practice class with questions, and some of our classmates got a female. I didn't get a female here. Well, I did in the strength card. There is some element of surprise. I don't think he's made the pick yet. I don't think he's made it yet. And then they're just like, what? What?
Well, the GOP supports Trump's VP pick. I get the mountain, the fox, and the book. No. They're going to keep their mouths shut, though. But no, this is a person that's a denier of everything. Of everything. Science, math, logic, results, facts. And they're a manipulator and a con themselves.
So probably a family member.
The Fox is also somebody that it's work and employment. So it could also be somebody that works in the party or has employment in the party. So I don't know if that would be a member of the House, a member of the Senate, somebody, but this is all in their own self-interest, but it does not have party support, but they're going to keep their mouths shut about, they're just going to let Trump do what Trump does and just not do anything. So
What'd you get, Johnny?
I went already.
Oh, that's right.
My question, which was in the spread though, was will his VP pick help him any?
Let's ask that.
Okay. So it won't be a thought?
I was going to add, will his constituents like his VP pick? So will his VP pick help him with his constituents?
Will Trump's choice of VP be helpful? Where's
I mean,
the
do you
devil?
really want to sign up for the job? He tried to get the last guy. You know, just saying.
Hope you like rope.
I heard they still have those. Why didn't they even, were they even able to investigate as to who made that?
They probably don't care.
I don't know. I don't know the particulars of all the thousands of people that are sitting in prison right now, Lori. And if the gallows were tied to anybody that's currently in prison, I don't know. They still have that person that dropped the bombs off. Can't find them.
That was my next thing I was going to say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled one card, it was the Seven of Swords, and then I pulled another card, and it was the Page of Swords. So this person does not help whatsoever. Again, both cards of the spy and the person who looks like they're on your side. They're not a Republican. Neither is Trump. So keep that in mind too. They are MAGA. That's a completely different party now. And so this person is very reckless in the way they speak. Very reckless in the way they behave. If you start to look up their old messages, again, it sounds quite disgusting. So, no, they don't. And they're not, okay, mind you, they don't appeal to us, but they're not going to. But I don't think they help him, period, with even their own side. And so keep that in mind, too.
Yep. What you getting, Lori?
I think they're not happy about it at first, but then I got the same outcome card. They'll just go with what they're told to go with. They'll keep their mouth shut. But I do not think that they'll be happy. And I'm getting now the Queen of Pentacles. So a woman is going to have influence over this somehow.
Yeah, I think constituents, voters, will look at it look at this person differently, and it's. I feel like it's somebody that's stealing the truth. So somebody who's an election denier, but they cause a lot of anxiety and indecision by the time things are said and done. And I get a lot of judgment from Republicans, making people emotional and making them erratic. But I get it does not, as a strategy, does not help Trump.
I get the birds, the mice, and the whip. Does it help? Will the VP pick help him? No. This is a person that talks about stealing and violence. So another. I said it because it's right damn here.
Go pick Ginny Thomas.
Trump is unable to gain in popularity. He's hit the ceiling. He cannot get more. He can't. So whoever he picks, the GOP isn't going to be happy with him, and it's not going to sway voters. This is a person that talks about stealing and violence here. And also this person has a lot of inflammatory rhetoric with the birds and the whip. Very critical, very inflammatory rhetoric, and also a person that could be a chronic thief with the mice and the whip. So,
and there's a bell. Thief.
There's a bingo. Bingo, a chronic thief.
A chronic thief.
Oh, that's funny.
That was funny.
So we know Trump is going to have lawsuits after the election, right? Because he always does. Will SCOTUS support Trump in these lawsuits over the election? You know, most of them they turned away when they came to the higher court. They wouldn't hear them. They sent them back to the lower courts.
Will SCOTUS, so say it one more time. Will SCOTUS support
Trump? Will SCOTUS support Trump in post-election lawsuits challenging the election?
Will SCOTUS support lawsuits of Trump's about the upcoming election?
If he gets some kind of aid there, it's not in the numbers that he needs. The Five of Pentacles, there's kind of thrown out in the cold there. He's lacking a lot of support that he would need from that in particular entity or those in particular people. It's not even just the court as itself. There's individuals that he would, I guess, suspect to be on his side or expect to be on his side. That's not there either. I mean, he keeps trying other things, but it's with the moon and the Fool card. It is what it is. The judgment is going to be what it is. They're not going to overturn an election. There is no more counts. There is no more votes. There is no more nothing. It is what it is. This is just delusions and lunacy at that point. And so you'll see him spiral out of control, I guess.
That man is on the Ferris wheel over in Delulu land, dude. drinking Diet Coke and eating burgers. Like he is way off in Delulu land.
What card is that, Johnny?
King of Cups on the bottom.
Oh, yeah. I got the King of Cups too.
What'd you get, Lori?
It looks like they want to try to help, and maybe the two will. But at the end of the day, the law's coming down. The hammer's coming down. He won't get them to help with everything.
Yeah, I get there's a lot of chaos going on with judges and things and investigations. But I get, time's up. The votes are so steady and so secure, strength on the votes, that it's all just a lie to America. So the votes are smaller and they're trying to make them bigger than they are. And I get SCOTUS will just lay down on that. It's voting too big to rig. There's a lot of Republicans that abandon, like Republican constituents that abandon the party. So no, I don't think they'll help them.
I asked mine a little bit differently. I asked, will the Supreme Court help Trump try to steal the next election? And I got the house, the anchor, and the ship. No, what happens in the states stand. And the base is solid, but people move away. Does that make sense? There might be, if there is a lawsuit, it may have to do with like active duty military that are away from home, that they're going to try to throw out those votes, which by the way, most of those people vote Republican. So if you want to shoot yourself in the foot, by all means, go ahead, but it's what happens in the states stands. And then it, transitions away from him. So no, the only thing I see is trying to throw out absentee ballots or something like that. But
yeah. So Trump-Biden second debate is in September. Seemed like it's right before Trump's sentencing again in the Judge Merchan case. Will Trump show up for the second debate? Because it's going to be on NBC, different channel, different network. Will Trump show up for the second debate?
Will there even be a second debate? Will Trump show up for the second debate? Will Trump show up for the second debate?
I get no, it's going to get canceled. There's what is scheduled, canceled, closed. So he thinks he's ahead, even though he did poorly. They let him run for 90 minutes just lying about everything. And then all the reports started coming out about the 30-something lies, which I thought was kind of low. I was expecting more like 300. So it's one of those, in his mind, or his campaign's mind, maybe, or his advisors, like, just keep it quiet while you're ahead, even though he's not. But
And he's down in the polls since the debate, which tells you everything you need to know.
yeah,
He
I
might
mean,
he
they
might
let
have been more aggressive, but he lied so much nobody
he
wants
lied
to
about
talk to
it.
him.
Sometimes they take the babies and the babies are born and they put them over there on the table and they say, just leave it there, we'll talk about that later, and they get rid of the baby. That's infanticide.
Mhm.
That's not even real. That's not abortion after birth. That is that whole thing that he just made up on that debate stage, which I just paraphrased, is not real.
It's just stupid.
And they just let him go on. 2 minutes? Oh yeah, go ahead and talk for 4. Just spew lies and don't answer anything. It didn't help. He might have not been acting crazy like the first time he debated Biden, but what came out of his mouth was still bad.
I get a big no. It'll come to an end, whether it's because of sponsors or whatever. And some truth about Trump is coming out. It's going to get highlighted. So he's going through some things at the time of the debate. So no, he won't be there.
I get some more stuff coming out too. I get a no. There's some holdup because of some things that come out. I just, they may move it maybe, or maybe not at all.
What did you get, Johnny? I mean,
Yes.
I mean,
There's Image. He ends in the audience, so he has to go for Image's sake. But there is a woman here, dark hair.
is she a thought?
No. He may think so because she's giving him a hard time, is what it looks like. Here with the Chariot card and the 7 of Cups, he can't control her. And so she's giving him a hard time. So maybe this is the moderator or one of or something like that. But yeah, it's not as I wouldn't go, mind you, because you're a convicted felon, you're Epstein associate. I don't know. That just does not add up right before the election to remind everybody of all these different things. You can depend on the news cycle to change the story in 5 or 7 days. But if you're standing on the debate stage, then somebody gets to bring it all back up again. And
that's why I'm here for it. I say go ahead and do it. So we can keep reminding Americans, those of us that are sleeping in cages or caves, this is what's going to happen. If you let that man back into power. Remember those semi trucks full of dead bodies in New York because he botched a pandemic? Let's look forward to 4 more years of that.
And the debt that you added and the jobs that you lost.
And his genius plan of getting rid of taxes and doing a 10% tariff, which we're all going to pay for and end up in a recession. But yeah,
alienating your allies that you take years to build these relationships, kissing the ring of Vladimir Putin and almost starting a war via Twitter. Like this is y'all's candidate right now.
I say give him a mic and let him remind people of what a terrible idea it is to go back down that path.
Challenge everything he says though. You can't just let him talk and get away with it. You have to
and then
challenge.
He'll get pissed off and storm off the stage.
That I would like to see, because you can't handle it. You can't be president if you can't be confronted.
I think he is just going to step in his own doo-doo again.
He doesn't need to step in it, Lori. He paints his face with it every day.
Little over here, little over there.
I mean, dear God.
Sir, that's not a mud mask.
That's not a mud mask.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, good Lord. There's your senile candidate.
There's more. There's more. 98's not enough.
No.
There's going to be more. Well, Lori and I kind of looked at this on Thursday, on July 4th, but I'd like to look at it with y'all. Judge Chutkan has to have a hearing because of the immunity decision on which actions Trump committed that might have immunity before moving forward with the trial. So I want to know two things. Will any indictments be thrown out because they'll deem there's immunity on them? And then the second thing we're going to look at is, will the trial happen before the elections? So
I'm going to sit this one out.
Okay. Will any indictments in Chutkan's case?
She said you would sit that out.
Be thrown out because of immunity?
Will any of the indictments in Chutkan's case be thrown out because of the immunity?
I think yes. It's it ends in the 5 of Cups and the 7 of Swords, so there's some sort of loss and disappointment over that too, because of whatever little scheme is here too. Because of this, how it started with the Judgment card, because of some sort of judgment causes some sort of loss. It's not of grave consequence though. It's still infuriating because none of this should be happening in the first place. But it's here with the 6 of Swords and the Queen of Cups. We'll still move on, go to the next thing. I mean, you got no choice. But yeah, it is still crappy though. So there's that.
What you getting, Lori?
Yeah, I get some of them will be, but I'm still getting, but wait, there's more. So they can throw out some and then
add others, right?
Yes.
Because in my grand tableau, and this
Wait, hang on before you tell us what's in the GT. I get like they may change some of the indictments, like the wording of them or what the indictment is for because of evidence. So I get, yeah, there'll be some changes to it, but it's a little bit confusing because he's still put in defense mode and there's still so much evidence. So I get the wording will get changed. How it's talked about, what's in the, because aren't they speaking indictments? Wasn't that what it was? Like the way they say it gets changed. Okay, now what was in your GT?
In the GT, it shows that it goes back to the court and it gets stuck in this thing where it's because it's whip and the storks. Both of those are action cards. So chronically going back and forth, chronic fighting over a project, and then the tower, which is the law, and then the mountain. So it gets stuck in this going back and forth, appealing. However, when you follow the tableau, instead of going up and down, when you follow it across, it shows, like Lori said, but wait, there's more. So it's almost like they can revise something or change the wording on it somehow because it's storks in the house of birds, changing what is being said. So they can change something and then it adds to. So, but the problem is that it's delayed because it goes back and forth. It's in this column. Let me see, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Through January of next year, this thing, it looks like it just goes back and forth because it's right here. So, but in the center of the tableau, that's what we talked about. That stuff that he was trying to keep from the public comes out anyways. So it could be through the hearings when they're trying to determine what's presidential and what's not. an official act versus an unofficial act, it's all going to come out. So,
because if I can't get you for larceny, then I'll get you for breaking and entering and trespassing.
yeah.
It's like I can just reword it to where the crime you committed, okay, fine. If I can't get you for that, there's something else that you did while you did that. And so something will stick. And
I don't understand how the Supreme Court, because like I said, they inserted themselves in there saying we will decide, you know, after Chutkin does her thing and determines what part of I don't know, plotting a coup d'etat is considered an official act. Please point that out in the Constitution somewhere, because
against your own country.
Like, I mean, unless
while you're violating the Hatch Act on White House grounds, also,
yeah. You know, but I mean, the Supreme Court just makes crap up anyways. So it's like, yeah, take bribes. That's cool. You know? so
let's ask: will she get the trial underway before the election?
The actual trial, not the
hearing.
The actual trial.
Not the mini trial. Will she get it underway before the election?
What a pile of what they handed her.
Mm-hmm.
Really, like, how dare you?
Lori, did you see Judge Ludig go off on the Supreme Court the other day?
No, I haven't. I worked all day today, so I'm just waiting to see that. Did he
I'll have to find the video and send it to you, because he was not happy, and that's a very conservative Bush-appointed retired judge. He was not.
I think Popak said he was going to release that this morning, right? Because I did my beach walk and I heard him say that it was going to be.
Yeah.
All right. Will Judge Chutkin get the trial started before the election? Yes or no? She successfully get it started. Let's get it started.
I think there's a chance she could. It's quite confusing, with all the things they have to defend with the stupid immunity thing. But I've got every single 3 card showing up.
And you know what?
I would say 3 months, which July, August, September. So starting either end of September into October. I think they'll secure it.
That's what they were saying over at Midas Touch, that if she can get this thing going, she can start the trial by the end of September, or sometime in September she can get the trial started.
When I get that many 3 cards, that tells me like 3 months, every single one on the bottom and these.
I'll say yes, but expect changes, or expect a wrench possibly thrown into that. It ends in the Wheel of Fortune, which means something does get scheduled. The Wheel of Fortune for me also is a change of season. So we're going into the fall. Also got 2 cards of Harvest, which means we're going into the fall. But November also falls into the fall too. So bear that in mind. But I'll just get the Devil, the Emperor, and the 10 of Swords. So while it seems to be scheduled and going on the right track, someone or something happens to where now there's a re-looking at the schedule. It ends in the Wheel of Fortune, though. So I think it still happens in the fall, but before the election is not guaranteed. So we could have like a November 18th type of thing or something like that. But I do get that it happens in the fall at least.
What you getting, Lori?
Well, she just really does not want to do this. She does not. She will have the wherewithal to move it forward, but she does not want to be the star in this show. She doesn't. And she doesn't like being in this place. This is really, really tough. And everyone that's involved in it is going to have a very, very difficult time. She will be granted something that she wants. She will. And so there's a pause. I think there's a pause before they get there. But it looks like it starts to get moving at that time, even though it's not exactly what she wants, but it looks like there is a motion there. So something could be implemented legally set by that time.
Sound of that.
Will the Heritage Foundation be successful with their Project 2025? Or will it fall by the wayside?
Because I was thinking about that, because I was like, even when we beat Trump in 2024, that is not going to go away. That was their manifesto. They're not going to be like, well, okay, next time. No.
And we know the public doesn't like it because Trump's trying to pull away any connection with it. Even though everybody in his administration helped with that Project 2025.
Another reason why I am very against this whole shutdown TikTok thing, because a lot of the youth is out there informing people what the hell is in that Project 2025. Okay. The young kids, the Gen X kids and all the other ones, not Gen X, I'm Gen X, the Gen Z and all that, they're not on Twitter, they're not on Facebook, they're not on they're over in TikTok land informing people. And those videos are getting millions of views. So the word's getting out.
As long as they're saying the right thing.
Oh, yeah, they are. I mean, of course, you have the other side that's like, no, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. And they're reading it straight out of the handbook. This is what this says. This, so they're informing them.
Awareness is everything.
Okay, so 2025, will the Heritage Foundation be successful with getting 2025? Started, set.
Okay. So first card is the Tower, which means something built on a faulty foundation will eventually crumble and fall. Eventually. There is the Moon too. So here's your schemes and your treachery and your secrets and your plots and all that type of stuff. But this is also exposure of some kind as well when you're trying to hide something in the dark. The Tower and the sun is not necessarily what you want to see. The sun illuminates everything. The Tower kicks the door in so everybody can see. So now that we know what you're doing, then we can fight against that instead of just fighting against some title called Project 2025. What does that even mean? When you know what they're doing in specific areas, you target that thing. Because here's the Eight of Wands and the King of Wands. So you have your conversations and your leadership. And so you need to call this person, or not your senators and your congressmen, because do that too. But we're talking city council and the state superintendent, because these are the people that, again, it starts with a foundation. And your foundation is your neighborhood. We live in 50 different countries in the United States. What you can do in this state, you can't do in that state, and so forth and so forth. So that's the thing. Will they be successful? They'll be successful in areas like Mississippi where everybody's asleep. They're not going to be successful in New York where everybody's awake. And so there are certain things that they're going to pinpoint certain places and then let it grow from there. So you have your Eight of Pentacles and your Six of Swords is how it ends. It will take effect or will be effective in certain places, but it's not the majority. But again, being successful with this type of thing is disgusting enough as it is. So your Louisiana, your Mississippi's, your Kentucky's, your regular hotspots for this type of garbage, it will be successful there. Not even so much like your Kansas and your Missouris and those type of places, or your Nebraskas even, or your Dakotas. It's more so those little Gulf states that'll have the hardest time with this type of thing.
And let's see how wonderful those people are in a few years. Let's go see how the poorest of the poor states, because all the poor states all happen to be freaking Republican. Let's see how well they're doing after they implement fascist.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's 81 different countries. Yes.
I'm sorry, Johnny. Forgot. What was I?
81 states. Sorry. The thought said so.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is going on? Not a thought can't count either.
Thought can't count.
Oh Jesus, what's
What'd
happening?
you get, Lori?
I they're really, really, really trying to be so sneaky, so very sneaky. I feel like more people will investigate this, and maybe in some of the rural areas where people are not that informed, but I just feel like it's over the top. It's too much. It's too much. The government says no, or part of the government says no, and then it's like it isn't balanced. It's just too much. They would have been more successful had they put less in there.
Yeah.
Know.
Something's going to change with it over time because the network of Republicans that are all in on this, they're going to try to move forward with it and hang on to it, cling to it, but they need to temper themselves because all this sneakiness, things are going to come to an end, and it's going to make them very anxious. A lot of their bullying tactics will get blocked, but successful at sowing chaos. Yes. But then I get like a new woman looking at other options, that they can do in their platform. So again, that dark-haired woman may shake up the Republican Party a little bit. What'd you get, Becca?
The ring, the fish, and the snake. They are committed to it. They're very committed to it. So once Trump is sailed off into the sunset and on his way to prison, okay, they're still committed to that. There's a commitment there. But they're going to have a problem gaining the majority. Fish is a lot of, snake is a problem. So they're not going to get, even though they're committed, they're not going to get the majority to commit to it. Another thing, they might actually have a problem with their businesses and their contracts. Ring is a contract, fish is business, snake is problems. So I don't know if they're messing with their reports or lying about the money that's coming in or something like that, but they're not successful implementing their manifesto, but it shows also problems with businesses and contracts for them. So, and that's the thing. The other day I went on Open Secrets when I was reading Project 2025, and it's huge. I only made it to like 180 pages, not going to lie. So I went on Open Secrets. They're only reporting like $18,000, $15,000. I'm like, how does an organization that huge only have
Run
that
by the Heritage Foundation? Yeah.
Have that much cash on hand? Contracts, business, lies. So somebody's lying there somewhere about something. So,
well, final question for tonight. Tonight starts the beginning of Shark Week. And we know how Trump feels about sharks, right? Sharks like go down with the ship and get eaten by a shark or get electrocuted, right? And Stormy Daniels said he is completely fixated on Shark Week and sharks.
They watched it together.
So can we expect to hear less from Trump this week, but less in campaigning and stuff because he's all into Shark Week? Is he preoccupied with his little sharks this week?
He's preoccupied with some battery things watching sharks. Will he be preoccupied? Will we have less truths to talk about because he's watching Shark Week?
We never had any truth, so less.
I'm just saying. Put him in Paul.
Yeah,
why don't they just put him a cartoon on the TV of just like cartoon sharks and just. My dog is smarter than this man, dude. Like, come on.
Send him a video of Jack Smith walking down the hall with the Jaws music playing at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
He's coming to get you. The Page of Swords, the Page of Wands, the 10 of Wands, the 9 of Swords. He's going to be freaking out over something else.
Really?
He's like beyond all these. I only pulled 4 cards. Are they all? He wants to tweet or some sort of message, or I don't know what he's doing, but he's freaking out though.
Just for this week?
Something. Yes.
Okay.
Whatever's something might happen tomorrow, or is happening today, or is happening right now, but he's about to have a freak out moment over something. Go for it. So
What you get, Lori?
Well, I feel like that he is preoccupied. He's trying to defend himself with something. So there may be less tweets because he's preoccupied working on something. It may have to do with the Epps stuff, but I get for Shark Week I think maybe he will that, and he's preoccupied with something else. That's what I'm going to go with.
What you getting, Becca?
The cross, the house, and the cross, the sun, and the house. No, he'll be freaking out about something else, but he'll be at home. It could be a freak out about the success of the new administration, or the people within his entourage, or someone in his entourage getting in trouble. But no. Oh, and then speaking of which, Rudy Giuliani is now complaining. I saw it all over Twitter the other day that Trump owes him over $2 million. It's like,
I think there's some kind of either quid pro quo or money laundering thing that comes out, because details about some money news comes out and that burdens the crap out of him. And then he's like trying to make plans on how to deal with Biden. But I get he is isolated at home watching something.
the Cartoon Network, Jenny? SpongeBob?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I'm getting 2 vibes off of this. First, I get victory for Ivanka, the mother, like if he's watching Shark Week, right? Because she doesn't have to deal with him. But I'm also getting victory for that woman coming forward, being strong with donors and backing. So, Woman of the Week.
What if it's E. Jean Carroll suing him again because he just defamed her? He keeps defaming her, so they keep taking him back to court.
I think it may be someone that the GOP's talking about behind their backs as potentially to go on the ballot or something. I don't know. She keeps showing up.
Nikki Haley, because she keeps coming up as the Queen of Pentacles. It's a dark-haired person.
Yeah.
The only person it could be to me would be Nikki Haley.
Or Stefanik. Or
God, no, Stefanik, everybody hates her.
Or the dog person.
The dumb person?
Christy Nome, the dog killer.
Oh my God.
The dog unaliver, I should say.
Can you imagine Lauren Boebert as vice president?
Oh, no. No.
I could, and that would be, that's one of the, again, moving to Canada is not a strategy, okay? But at the same time, we can't be in a government where she's the vice president. No, ma'am.
Can you imagine Marjorie Taylor Greene as president? How scary that would be.
Well,
it's a thought.
It's a thought and prayers.
That's all I heard.
Thoughts and prayers.
And on that note, we will be on Becca's channel next week, House of Lenormand. And thank you all for joining us. Thank you for the super chats, and thank you to our moderators. Happy birthday again, lucky girl. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us, Lori.
Thank you for having me.